This episode of What Makes You Tick is brought to you by Wilson's Auctions, Ireland and the UK's largest independent auction company. I'm delighted to have them on board. They auction everything from designer goods, vehicles, machinery, luxury watches, jewellery, and land and property. This year is also very, very special to Wilson's Auctions as they are celebrating 25 years in Dublin and about to launch their new website, which is wilsonsauctions.com. It's a whole world worth exploring. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to What Makes You Tick. And it's actually class. I get to speak to so many different people on this podcast. People who I've never met, people who are close to me or friends, and I'm delighted to welcome Dev Toner onto the podcast. Dev and I have known each other for a long, long time, but it's only in the last kind of 3 or 4 years that we become
reconnected.
There you go. Yeah, that's the word. And I've toyed with having you on the pod for a while, and finally we've actually gotten the chance to do it. So great to have you, pal.
Thanks for having me. Delighted to be here. Yeah,
good. It's what are we now? We're June 2025.
Mm-hmm.
The last professional game of rugby you played was
June 2022. So my last professional game was for the Barbarians. It was against Spain, and that was my last professional game.
Do you have much of a memory of that game?
I have a memory of obviously in the Barbarians, if it's your last game, you get a chance to kick a goal, and I did get a chance to kick a goal, and I absolutely wellied it into the side. I was like, it was nowhere near the touch or the goalpost. So I have regrets about that.
Have you a respect for people who do take
absolutely.
A goal now?
Yeah, Jesus, I was like, I should have practiced more going into it and not had so many points, because that's obviously what the Barbarians is about.
The last second row known to kick a goal was Johnny Eels, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
that's actually what.
Nobody.
Noxie, who used to coach us in Leinster, used to call me Eelsy.
Did he?
Yeah.
Noxie was some character. Yeah. Do you miss it?
In general, not really. I did my 17 years. I did like so much. In general, I don't miss the training, the weights, the kind of nerves, but there obviously are stuff you do miss. So obviously I'm 3 years out now. What you do miss is the environment. You miss going into work with 40 of your best mates every day. You miss the lads, you miss the camaraderie, the crack, and you miss the big games. So like, I'm very lucky where I am now. We have a box in the Aviva for all the big games. So all in the Six Nations in November, I get to host clients and stuff to watch the games. And when you see the build up to the big Six Nations games, the big kind of crunch games, you do get a bit, you miss that a bit. Seeing the national anthems, and obviously seeing the Leinster lads getting into the final for the URC now, and seeing obviously the European stuff as well. You do miss those big ones.
What if you kind of summarize the feeling of those type of games for somebody who's never been in that environment? What would you say is the kind of the overarching theme?
Jeez, it's hard to describe. It's hard to describe for anyone who hasn't been a part of it, because it's all encompassing when you're in it. Do you know what I mean? That's all you think about. That's all you're kind of training for all year round. Because obviously with Leinster, you've got 2 goals. You've got the European Cup and the league, you know. So they're your kind of only goals in Leinster, and that's what you're building towards the whole season. And once you get into them finals, again, it's just your sole focus for the entire year. So once you get into them, it's really important, I suppose, to you. And people don't really understand how important it is to you because of how much you put in during the year. But it's so important as well. And once you get into it, you just got to keep doing what you've done all year, really. And
how do you blank out the noise from everything outside of the dressing room and in the team environment? Because when you played, you saw a transition of Leinster going from fairly inconsistent to, I suppose, like the team to beat across Europe, right? You had some of the best players in the world playing with you, both from an Irish perspective, but also an international perspective. Yet, maybe when there was an expectation of Leinster to do well, and when they didn't, how did you block out that noise, or how did you kind of manage that? Because you're saying it's so important, but yet it's just a game of rugby.
Yeah, I think. Do you know what it comes with experience, being able to block it out. I think when I got into the Leinster team at the start, it was around 2005, 2006, and I was very lucky that my kind of first taste of Leinster was when Czechs came in. So Czechia came in and obviously revolutionised how Leinster worked and the professionalism and all that sort of stuff. It's been talked about a lot. And so I was kind of the first wave of that. So, and those first couple of years, I was on the fringes of the Leinster team. Like, it's my first year, I got 1 cap. The next year, I got 3 caps. The next year, I got 4, then 5. And then it was my fourth year, I got like 20 caps, then 25 caps. Then I started kind of kicking on. So those first couple of years, I was on the fringes looking in. And if when Leinster didn't do well, or I wasn't, like, I didn't really feel that much a part of it, because I was on the fringes. I was playing AIL with Lansdowne. I was kind of playing under 20s and kind of playing A games and stuff all the time. So I didn't really feel that I was much a part of the team, I suppose. So I didn't really have much to block out, because if we were losing, I didn't feel I didn't have much to do with that kind of thing. Like,
okay,
do you know? Yeah. So then it's kind of, but then once you kind of get into the starting team, once you start and regularly giving back to the team and being able to be part of it, that's when you kind of you take the losses more, I suppose, and you feel like you've kind of let down the team if you're more of a part of it, kind of thing. Like, and that comes with experience. Yeah. You know, like the more you play, the more you're involved, and the more you lose, the more you win. That's you get to handle loss a bit better.
Is there a particular game that stands out to you that I don't know, that you potentially enjoyed the most? Because, like, being in the engine room, playing second row, right? It's not the prettiest of positions, right? Yeah. Yes, we see you soaring in the air when you're getting lifted in the line out. Sorry, assisted in the line out, and it looks amazing. And like, there's always there's those great iconic photographs being in the Viva where you're stretching for the ball. Like, you were one of them. I think Paul O'Connell was another one. Like. Yeah. They're great moments, right? But is there anything that particularly from your career that stands out that you go, like, that kind of, that's it? I
was like, anyone that talks to me about big games or whatever, like the one that I always kind of go back to, that's always, I'm never going to forget it, is Chicago. Is Ireland against Chicago against the All Blacks. And for me, any big games are like, obviously my world is lineouts. Do you know what I mean? If the lineout went well, I did well, and kind of I was happy and all that sort of stuff. And I just remember in Chicago, it was coming up against Brodie Retallick, and New Zealand are obviously a class lineout team. And I just remember every lineout that I called, that they were literally just an inch away from. But we were able to, obviously had a really good day, the lineout, but like, I just remember they were such a good mirroring team, so they were able to. Well, people who don't know what mirroring is, they defend a lineout and they mirror your movements and try and get up in the air with you, basically. Other teams tried to guess we were going to go and go up, but they were a really good mirroring team, and they just mirrored our movements, and they were literally an inch away from every kind of throw, but we obviously got the ball. So I was just really happy with how the lineout went that day, and obviously winning, and the whole feel-good atmosphere of the entire day over in Chicago was unbelievably brilliant, you know. And it's something I'll never forget.
The spectacle of it. Seeing the figure 8 before the haka. Yeah. You know, Axel having passed away previously. Did you have a relationship with Anthony?
I did, yeah. Axel coached me in an Ireland A game. And I knew him from. I'm not sure that I ever actually get to play against him. I don't think I got to play against him, but no, he got coached him by him in a few A games.
It really took over the country though when he passed. Yeah. And then to see how Ireland brought that to life in Soldier Field. Yeah. There was nearly everyone. I know you're 6'11", right? But everyone 6'10", sorry. But like, everyone got that little inch more in their step, or like, just something happened.
I know.
Like, the atmosphere, I wasn't there, but the atmosphere, you could feel it through the screen. Like, you know. Yeah. Do you remember, like, standing in front of the haka? Do you remember the figure 8, or is that kind of?
I remember the figure 8. I don't really remember the haka that much. Yeah. Now thinking back on it. But I remember the stadium. I remember it's just
Who came up with that idea?
I don't know. Management team, I think Joe maybe, or I actually don't know who came up with it. To be honest, we were just told this is what we're doing. I think maybe Joe maybe talked with Bestie or Sexto, or I'm not sure who it was, but they came up with the best way to do it, and I think it worked. But it was just like the whole weekend was unbelievable, because obviously there's a huge Irish diaspora in Chicago. At that weekend was the Chicago Cubs actually had won the World Series for the first time in 114 years or something as well. So the whole city was on fire. I remember we were staying in Trump Tower, and it was the day before. It was the day before our game that they were having the welcome home parade for the team. So we got brought up to the top of Trump Tower, and we saw the millions of people that were lining the streets for us. So it was just a really feel good atmosphere. Yeah, like, it was brilliant.
It looked it looked like it was, and Bracey broke the seal in terms of the monkey on a back for Ireland not beating New Zealand. And like then there was a point where there were certain players for Ireland that had never lost to New Zealand for a couple of years.
But sure, I was part of the team as well, and it was kind of when I just broken into the Ireland team in 2013, when we were a split second away from beating them in the Aviva. Yeah. And like I was probably one of the ones that kicked. Well, I gave away a stupid penalty to get them 3 points to kind of get them back into the team as well. I tripped, and I blocked one of their blockers coming in to block us getting rid of the ball. And then I gave away a stupid 3 points. So for years, I was kicking myself. It's like, why? How could I give away such a stupid penalty? Kind of that thing.
It's funny, isn't it? I'd say there was a number of players at different stages through that game were going, "Oh my God, what did I do?" And to your point about experience, right? Having gone through that loss probably calcified you against them in Soldier Field. Do you know?
Yeah.
Because you know how dangerous they are.
You know they can do anything. Yeah. Like from that loss, Joe had brought in different drills and stuff like so. Because I think it was he saw how many minutes or how long the ball had been in play from when we gave away a penalty till when they scored in the corner. I think it was like 3.5 minutes. Yeah. So they were like, if we can last 3.5 minutes, or I think he extended it to 4 minutes. If we can last 4 minutes under intense pressure, we can last against anyone. So Joe came up with drills that would last 4 minutes of hell, basically, of going to ruck here, ruck there. And so like he would like put you under intense pressure for 4 minutes, and then he would extend that to 4.5, 5 minutes, so we can get ready for those situations. Like,
what do you make of how Ireland has progressed since you finished up?
They're just gone to strength to strength. You know, it's kind of like a conveyor belt of young lads coming through, and it's brilliant to see. Obviously the couple of Six Nations wins, and obviously Faz coming in, and they just like it just looks like a really good environment to be in as well. Not just from how they're playing as well, but you can see it from all the lads loving being in camp, seeing their partners and their kids in the pitch afterwards. It seems like a really good environment to be in.
Yeah, they're allowed to express themselves. Yeah, it looks like they can be free. Like. Yeah. It would be wrong if we didn't actually talk about this season with what Leinster has been up against, right? Mm-hmm. I was away last week, and I hear people talking about, they need to change this, they need to change that coach and do all this. I'm kind of going, you're getting the best experience ever. Like Leinster are winning games left, right, and centre. They're getting to create these incredible moments for teams or for fans. But like, it's the Irish mentality, like, isn't it?
I know.
Like, they're great when you're coming up, but when you're up there, it just seems to want to cut you down.
Yeah.
Like, what do you make of
it? I know I know Leinster have like fallen at the final hurdle the last couple of years, not being able to get over the line, like winning trophies and everything, and people are calling for this and that. But like, there's not many teams in Europe or the world who have been at the top for so long that Leinster have. Mm-hmm. Do you know? Like, they're consistently in the semi-final or finally of the league and Europe. They're consistently there, and no other team is doing that. Mm. And I don't think the coaching staff get the plaudits that they should. Do you know what I mean? To keep them there for so long, like they've done such a phenomenal job of getting Leinster where they are and keeping them there. Now, obviously, they've fallen to the final hurdle, yes, and they've lost some big games, yes, but like on the whole, they're playing some really good rugby. Mm-hmm. Do you know?
Yeah. And it is translating into Ireland as well. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
100%,
you see them with 14. What is it? 14 of them into the lines now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
one more. Finlay Beelum got called up.
Oh, Finlay, yeah. So sorry, 14 or was it 12 Leinster? Was it?
So it was 12 Leinster,
Okay, yeah.
and then
That's
Tig.
phenomenal.
But,
Who fell out of Leinster, or who fell out of the lines?
Xander Fagerson.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, I saw beat him, and then with Lancaster going to Connacht.
Yeah,
that's great.
Brilliant.
That's a huge boost.
I did a panel last week actually, and someone asked about Stu going to Connacht, and I was thinking, I think it's one of the best decisions the IRFU have ever in the past 10 years. Like it's the best decision that the IRFU could have done. Like Stuart is, I'm not going to say he doesn't get the plaudits that he deserves, but he did so much in his 7 years in Leinster. He comes, like, he's going to go to Connacht, and he's going to bring it back to grassroots. He's going to go to schools. He's going to go to the clubs. He's going to really hone in why it's going to be good to play for Connacht. Like back when he was with Leinster, he used to say to us how important it was that so many of us were born in the province, grew up supporting the province, and are now living in the province, and like he connects it back to where you're from and all that sort of stuff. So I think he's going to be really good for Connacht, and not even just the physical side of plays and defence and attack and how he's so good at that. Like he's really good at that, but he's really good at the emotional side as well, and he's really good the leadership side. You know, so we would have team meetings in Leinster where he said, okay, nobody over the age of 24 is allowed to talk now. Everyone younger had to be putting up their hands. Academy lads, you're only allowed to speak today. So he was growing leaders within the squad from a very early age, you know. And I don't know, people follow him on LinkedIn. He does a lot of leadership lessons on LinkedIn as well that he talks about.
You know, that's really cool to hear, because when I was in the creative agency world, I was working in a big Irish agency, and one of the old school chairmans was there, and he brought everybody into the room, and he basically said, if you're not 30, you don't have the experience yet. And I was 24. I was like, all right, is that it? So tell me about digital. You know, tell me about this. What about social media? He didn't have any idea of it. And I always was a big fan of promoting, allowing everybody speak, because you don't know what type of experience they've had, and that's great to hear with Stu.
He did a lot of stuff with the
you
academy.
You see them why likes of Caelan Doris became such a leader and so influential in Ireland's success and Leinster's success.
All the young lads, and like Hugo, like they're all like they all came up under Stu, and their work ethic of it's all kind of what he brought into Leinster, really. To be honest.
Tell me what has been in your career, right? You were up until recently the most capped Leinster player on the books, but like, so your resilience in terms of your ability to stay healthy over the years is obviously phenomenal, right? And I'm sure you've had your fair share of injuries and bumps and bruises along the way, but like in your 17 years at the top level, like what was the biggest challenge you faced?
The biggest challenge, I suppose the biggest challenge was at the start of my career, probably proving myself, I suppose. Like I always knew that, like, when I was playing, you either loved me or you hated me. Like when I was a young player, kind of coming up like 20, 21, 22, I would be the first to put my hands up. I did look at it, what everyone was writing about me. Do you mean I went on Twitter, I went on Instagram and seeing what people are saying, and I know that people from Munster hate me, and all the other provinces don't like me. Oh, he's just lanky, he's only good for line out, whatever sort of thing. And you'd listen to it, you know. So the first 5 years of my career was about proving that I'm like not just lineouts, I suppose, that I was able to play, that I was able to kind of hold myself, and being able to prove people wrong. Probably that was pretty big, the biggest challenge. And then once I kind of got to the starting, I suppose, with Leinster regularly, and then starting with Ireland regularly, is kind of holding it. And keeping myself there.
The challenge there though, like, so you're a young fella, right, and you're listening to all this or seeing all this stuff being written about you, like that's. Were you trained on how to manage it, or did you have support in the club? or
Not really, because it's you don't admit you do it.
okay,
You don't admit to anyone that you do it.
okay,
It's embarrassing.
yeah,
Who's going to admit that they looked themselves up on Google?
Yeah.
Who's going to admit that they Google themselves?
yeah,
Do you know, especially after a game, like, I'm not going to go home and tell one of the lads, oh, did you see what someone wrote about me here?
yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, so it's not something you talk about, you know? So, but it's just, but again, it's kind of, it comes with experience.
Do you think they do that now? Do you think like that there's a support in play now? Because like to your point, right? It's not something you talk about it, but probably everybody was doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and Caelan has a great phrase. He says, "What's most personal is most universal," and it's from a philosopher that he follows. But it's basically whatever you're thinking when you share it, you probably find that the lads that you share with are going through the same thing.
Probably, yeah. Look, I think the whole sphere of mental awareness is huge now. And I think the lads would have been told something about, like, obviously there's RPI do obviously have Tacular Feelings, the campaign, and that's 10 years now since it started off. And
Jack was one of the first ones, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Jack McGrath. Yeah, he was brilliant. And then there's obviously a huge amount of ambassadors over the last 10 years, and I think what they've done over the last 10 years is really obviously let lads talk about what's going on, I suppose. So you'd like to think that lads would like. Now, when I say help, I didn't think I needed help. I just looked up some comments. You know what I mean? Like, and I said it was just experience that I was able to get to.
Yeah. You seem to be a type of character that you don't really get phased by much. Like from me hanging out with you over the last while, and even just in your approach, like, you have a very positive and optimistic outlook by the looks of it. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I like to be positive.
Yeah. Because there's a difference, I suppose, between positivity and optimism, right? Positivity is being positive all the time, right? Whereas optimism is knowing that you'll have a shitty day, but going, right, tomorrow will be better. Let's go again tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know? How did you, like, where did that come from, or how was that instilled in you?
I don't know. I think it's just who I am. I think naturally I'm just quite laid back, to be honest. And I think that kind of helped me over the career as well during the years. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, I'd be obviously line out forward, did line outs, and in order to be able to call line out, you need kind of level head, I suppose, and be able to be calm. So, like, I think I'm quite a calm, level-headed person anyway. Do you know what I mean? That's able to kind of block out the noise and being able to just go back to basics and go back to my menu and go and know what I need to do. So I'm quite happy that I was kind of the person that kind of didn't get phased a lot, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, like,
where it comes from, I don't know.
No.
I think obviously parents, family, whatever it was, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. Did you have a good relationship growing up with your folks?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Big fans, like.
Big fans, yeah. But the mum and dad came to every game, you know. Like, they were the ones that kind of got us involved in rugby. Like, so dad brought me and my brother down to North Kildare when we were like 8 or 9, mainly because he knew we were going to be going to Castleknock College to play so he knew we were going to be playing in secondary school. So we just got playing there, and then he started loving it. He was never big into rugby himself, but once I started kind of getting into it, family came to every Ireland game, not every Leinster game, but a good few Leinster games.
Yeah, the Ireland runs were special. Yeah. Leinster are just sick of you winning all the time. Tell me, with your own family and your own kids, like, what are the kind of the things that you try and instill in them as they're growing up and developing? Because they would have seen you at the heights of, like, playing against the best in the world, right? And playing in some of the biggest stages, filling out 80,000 odd seaters, you know, and being part of that whole theatre, right? But, like, for some people, kind of get away from it, they can lose the plot a little bit, and they kind of let the fame kind of go to their heads, whereas it doesn't seem to have ever affected you. Like, what are the things that you instill in the kids? Try to teach them.
Well, I suppose, so Max is my eldest, he's 7 now, so, like, I retired when he was like maybe four, so, like, he wouldn't have seen an awful lot of me kind of playing. I wouldn't remember an awful lot, but now, getting into it now, he plays rugby in Lansdowne, and, like, you ask him what he wants to be, and he said he wants to be a professional rugby player. And I was like, it kind of breaks your heart a bit. He says to me, "Are you going to go back playing rugby, Dad?" And I was like, "It doesn't really work like that." I was like, "Oh, if Leo gives me a contract, maybe, but I don't see
it here first, folks.
I don't see it happening anytime soon." But for him, like it's great. So I have a daughter called Grace as well, who's a 4.5. She'll be 5 in September as well. So like it's I'm literally just kind of letting them do what they want to do and do what they what they enjoy. I suppose like Max is playing rugby and Gaelic at the minute, and I literally just want them to enjoy the training. Do you know what I mean? If they're not enjoying it, I don't really want them to don't want them to play it, because I think like Max started soccer and he said to me he absolutely hates it, and I was like, okay, if you hate it, there's no point in playing it. You know, so like it's like I literally, like, if he wants to be a rugby player, I'll let him go off and try and do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to play Gaelic, whatever he wants to do. I'm just like of the mindset that if they enjoy it, they get into it, they'll obviously learn some skills or whatever. Like so.
Yeah, so you'll facilitate them in whatever path they want to get to. Because like being a professional rugby player, like there's a lot of discipline, but there's a lot of selfish acts that need to happen for you to be at the best.
Absolutely.
Right? Like how did you manage that? Like there's things you can't do. You can't always go out and go for your pints, or you can't go and have your takeaways and do all that. Or maybe you can. But do you know, like,
yeah.
Did you find anything hard in terms of the sacrifice, or did you see it as a privilege?
You see it as a privilege now. You probably see it as a sacrifice then. But like, it's when you say sacrifice, it's only really the odd piss up that you miss up, and the odd maybe wedding that you can't get to, or like it's. But there are other sacrifices. So like, when my first kind of sacrifice was, I got picked for the Irish Schools tour. So sorry, in the Irish Schools used to do a tour every 4 years to Australia, and I actually got on one of them. So my Irish Schools tour to Australia in 2004, so just after I'd finished 6th year. So I missed my 6-year holiday because I was on a tour to Australia. So I was in Australia when I got my leaving cert results. Do you know what I mean? So like, I wasn't at home with everyone. I wasn't able to celebrate. I missed a 6-year holiday. I was like, boo-hoo me. Like, got to go to Australia to play with Ireland, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then when you're coming up to the academy, obviously you miss the college nights out, you miss other holidays with friends or whatever. So you do miss some of them, but like, it's all for the greater good. Like, you know, it's not the be all and end all.
Yeah.
To go on a piss up, you know. So it's like, and then over the years, there's obviously other stuff that you like. You know, can only go on holidays at certain times and all this sort of stuff. But like, it's just part and parcel with it, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever found yourself in a position where you just didn't know what to do? You didn't have the answer.
Never thought about that one. Not really. No. In relation to what, like?
Well, like even in professional sport or even in life, like, because like we'll talk about you moving from the world of sport in a second, but like. Like you talk about experience and it kind of being something that kind of helps you along the way, but there must have been moments where you were unsure about your decision, because I suppose it's you're kind of trained to back yourself, right? But like there were times when I thought you were going to get selected for the World Cup, right? And then Klein got in instead, right? But you handled it you handled it brilliantly, you know. Whereas in my mind, I'm like, how is he so calm? How is he so collected about this? Because I remember watching you being interviewed, and somebody said, "Have you heard from Joe?" I go, "No, I haven't heard from him." Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
like they're like. If you looking back, not saying that there's any regrets, but like looking back at a time when I thought you were pretty much a shoe-in for the World Cup, and then you had your ankle injury, I think just before that, was it?
Yeah.
So that was the kind of the piece of the doubt that crept in, was it? I don't know. Like, how did you get through your career without having any like doubt?
I know, but like you do have doubts, but like in relation to the 2019 thing, the World Cup, like what's the alternative? Do you know, like that is professional sport. You're not going to get picked from some stuff. You are going to get picked for other stuff. You're not going to get like, so like in the 2019, I was like, I've talked about it openly. I'm like, looking back at it now, I don't think I did enough in the preseason games. I don't think I performed to the best of my ability. I was probably a bit complacent. I thought I was on the plane, like in the preseason in one of the warm up trainings that we were over in Portugal. I remember Joe coming over to me at one stage and was like, "Dev, what actual height are you?" And I was like, "This is a weird question. Why you asking me that?" I was like, well, "I'm 6'10". In meters, it was like 209. I was like, "Oh, okay." He was checking the height of the bedrooms in Japan to see if I would fit in them.
You're joking.
So I was like, "Oh, great! I'm on the plane. Brilliant." So like, but this was months beforehand in the preparation phase. You know what I mean? So like, I was probably complacent going into the training, the preseason games and all that sort of stuff, and then obviously didn't get in. And like, I know like a lot of like I do feel sorry for John Klein, because it wasn't John Klein got picked ahead of me. Do you know what I mean? He was one of the second rows in the squad, and I wasn't. Do you know?
Yeah.
So, and a lot of, I think he got a lot of hate from it as well, which I kind of feel sorry for as well.
Yeah.
All he's doing is he's a professional rugby player. He's trying to get in the team just as much as anyone else.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, but in like getting past it, it's like you don't get picked. Yeah, you're pissed off. Yeah, you take a few days, but then you have to go back to Leinster, and you have to. There's young lads seeing you not get picked and come back in. What's it going to show them if you just sulk in the corner all for the entire week, and like we're playing whoever it is, Ospreys or Dragons or whatever coming in, and then you think you're too big for whatever. Like you need to show them that this is sport. You know, you're not going to get picked for some games. You're gonna have to just pull your boots up or pull your socks up and perform. So I kind of had to go back to Leinster and show that I am a good player, that I deserve to be there, that I'm ready if someone gets injured, that I could get called out. And that's what you got to do.
Yeah, I thought you handled it brilliantly. Honest to God, I took my hat off to you when you did it, because it was something that, you know what, you kind of showed how to handle disappointment, which I thought was class.
But again, it comes with experience.
Yeah.
That's sport, you know,
and it's life.
Yeah, exactly.
So. Following on from your 17 years as a rugby player, right? Did you develop any skills outside of rugby in the build-up to your retirement? Like, did you do any courses? Were Leinster encouraging in terms of the education? Like, did they support that, or was it just solely rugby?
No, so what happened was I come up to the end of my career. I'm not going to say I was panicking, but I was kind of thinking, "Oh, what am I going to do next?" Because I didn't really know. Because my second last season, I was pretty much told early on that I wasn't going to have a contract next year. So I was fairly panicking. I was looking at maybe the Pro D2 in France. I was looking at maybe going to Japan. But then during that year, young second row for us, Jack Dunn broke his ankle. And then I think the coaches saw him injured, and they were like, "Oh, here, if Dev isn't here next year and someone gets injured, we're fairly screwed for second rows." So then they were able to go to the board and come back, and they actually offered me a contract for the next year. So then I pretty much knew that I had like a year and a couple of months left.
Okay.
And then I started kind of panic, and it was like, so, and then I kind of was looking at the ages of my kids. So Max was going to be coming up on 4, maybe starting school in September of the following year. So I was like, okay, we're probably not going to up sticks then. So we're like, okay, that's probably going to be I'm probably going to retire then. So then I kind of had to look at what I was doing and then where I was going. So, and again, I didn't really have any direction. I didn't up at that. I had done a sports management degree in UCD that took me about 8 years to do. So started in arts, dropped out of that, did sports management year 1, year 2, dropped out of that, then took 3 years off, and then went back into the final year over 3 years after RPI kind of said I should go back and do it. So I got my degree in sports management, and then did nothing in the years in between. So what happened was I went to go see a career coach, and the first thing that she said was, you need to go and talk to someone about your finances. So I had the only financial advisor that I've ever heard of or followed or whatever was Paul Merriman. Ask Paul. So I just reached out to him, and I was like, can I sit down and do a financial plan? Basically, and I don't know if anyone's done a financial plan before, but it was phenomenal, the detail that goes into it. You see your life mapped out in front of you of your earnings and your goings and where you're going to go and stuff, and you kind of kind of liked the process, like everything about it, and just struck up a relationship with Paul. So, and after about 2 or 3 meetings I had with him, he kind of asked me, he was like, "Do you have any idea what you're doing afterwards?" And I go, "No idea." And he was like, "Well, there might be an opportunity here if you want to go down this route." So I kind of looked into it a bit more, and really liked the idea of financial advice. So I was like, yeah, actually, we'll do it. Yeah. So then in my last year, I started doing the QFAs, which is the Qualified Financial Advising exam. So I did over my last year. I did the 6 exams through the LIA, and then so got qualified, and then so I retired in the June and started with Paul in the September.
Incredible. So
3 years later.
So what are you doing for this?
So my role now is called Head of Partnerships, but I think my title might be changing soon to maybe, I think it's Head of maybe Financial Wellness, because we as a firm, we got bought by a UK firm called Fairstone, where we're buying up other brokerages around Ireland. So like people will see my title of Head of Partnerships and think I'm to do with the M&A kind of side of things. So, but it's not really what I do. So I kind of head up our financial wellness offering for corporates. So Paul and a lot of other advisors would do a lot of financial wellness speaking gigs, and we call them money master classes. So we would go into a corporate a business and do a money master class, say what we would need for a good, robust financial plan, basically. And Paul is really good at what he does. He breaks things down in a really easy way to know what you need to do, and any speaking gig that he does, I think people come away with it with a different point of view. Yeah.
Is it what you expected? So when you sat down with Paul and he said, right, there might be an opportunity here, like how has that journey been since going from rugby into
it's been
the
really
corporate
good.
world?
It's evolved a bit. Because originally I thought, I might go down being a financial advisor kind of route, but now I don't know. Because I am qualified to do it, but and it's a different route to go down though. So if I want to do that, I think I might need to do a bit more studying, because I probably wouldn't have the knowledge that all of our other advisors have. So it's kind of the role has evolved, because there still is like a lot of kind of relationship building and doing kind of events and sort of stuff as well, and getting the word out there. So I'm kind of a bit of an ambassador kind of as well, kind of thing, like. But it's evolved over the time. But like it's in a really good space, because I felt lucky that I got in when I did, because it was kind of a, not small, it wasn't small, but it was a smaller than we are now. But kind of Fairstone came in and we've kind of grown and grown and grown. So it's I felt that I got in on the ground floor, to be honest.
Like so doing the QFAs, obviously that stood to you and probably gave you a little bit of confidence when you were going in, to say, right, I've got some sort of piece of paper that'll be used. But when you say that it evolved, like, can you remember what your first month was like when you went in? Like, can you remember the experience?
First month was just like going into the office and learning the business. I didn't understand about how a financial planning firm made money. I didn't know how it handled its clients. I didn't really know anything. So I was literally just learning. I was learning through just looking at consultations, learning about the processes, learning about the people, learning who did what, getting set up on all the different softwares and websites that we have and all this sort of stuff. So getting used to Excel and Word. Like I never really used Microsoft Office before, so it was like getting set up on Teams, how to start a Teams call. It's like, how do I add this person to that? How do I? So there's loads of little stuff that you have to learn.
The files are in the computer.
Absolutely. Yeah, but it's a learning curve, but it's everyone has to do it. Like,
so the last 3 years, then your financial wellness, like, what does that mean? Do you know, if you're going to go in and speak to corporates, or if you want to explain to somebody now who's listening, like, if they wanted to get you in, like, what does that mean? Like, is it a case of, like, finance is one of the things that people are scared of talking about.
Yeah,
I see it in work all the time when you mention finance, or budgets, or quotations, or estimates, or how much people nearly clam up, right? But when it comes to our own lives, like, some people are just going day by day, and they don't know how to get out of the rut of going day by day. So do you guys kind of help them prioritize where their money should go? Or
everyone is different. We break it down. Do you know, one of our other really good advisors, he explains it as, we're sleep therapists. We help people sleep at night. Do you know what I mean?
Nice.
When in our, I suppose we have 3 pillars of advice in Fairstone and Ask Paul, basically, which are protect, grow, replace. So, well, it's kind of evolved to review, protect, grow, replace, review. So you come into us, we review your entire situation, and then the 3 pillars are protect. So are you protected? Is your money protected? Is your income protected? Or is your family protected? So it's all about protection of if something goes wrong, what can we do? What can be in place?
Mm-hmm.
The grow piece is the sexy piece that everyone wants to know about. Is the how do you grow that?
Show me the money, Jerry.
How do you grow that extra piece at the end of the month, basically, if you have anything extra? And then the replace piece is how do you replace it when you so that's pensions, whether that be through property or pensions or whatever is best for you.
Yeah.
Basically, so it's we review all the 3 pillars and see what could we do.
Yeah.
Basically, if you need to put a policy in place somewhere, we'd obviously love to have the business to that you could trust us to do it for you. But our Paul grew the business on. He called it financial equity. Everyone is entitled to financial advice, no matter what you earn. Basically, like, so we do all our consultations are for free. So, like, if someone come in for a free consultation, we will obviously give you the best advice that we can. If you trust us to do business with you, we can place a policy for you, no matter what. But it's all about kind of getting the advice out there.
Yeah. Do you like it? Do you enjoy it?
I do. Yeah, I think it's a really good industry. I think people think of financial advisors as, like, I don't know. I probably did as well, like that. Not grubby, but like people kind of, they want to get your money off you. They want to make as much as they can off you. Do you mean? But it's actually about protecting people. Do you know what I mean? Like people who can't get mortgage protection or life insurance, or telling people you need this to take care of your kids if the worst of the worst it was to happen. Do you mean? So getting people kind of protected where they can.
It should nearly become part of the education curriculum about finance, because they do accounting and business and they do economics, but like there's no real financial planning educational piece in school. So when you come out, you haven't a clue.
I know. But even people learning about pensions, you know what I mean? So like a lot of the time if we were going into work for a corporate, we would learn about their pension plan. We would see what funds they have available, and we would say what would be the best fund to be in, basically. Well, so most people when they join a job, they get the form to join the pension and they tick the default box. So they're in the default thing, so in the default fund. So they could be in a fund that could be earning 3 to 4% a year for the next 25 years. Whereas the difference between a 3% fund and a 9% fund over 25 years is phenomenal. Do you know, it could be worth 200 grand to you. Do you know, and so like, and that's all from a tick of a box.
Yeah.
Do you know? So it's all about advising people on that.
Which is it's if you can start early. And you can get your act together early.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't wait till in my 40s and going, what? I should have done this when I was 22. Tell me, when it comes to, say, so one of the things that I've always known with or seen with guys who've finished playing sport, right, is they've got these incredible stories, right, at different moments, different stages of the career, right? And I'm sure you have been asked loads of different questions, but is there a character that you've played with? Like who was probably the biggest character that you played with? And have you any stories that you could tell that are kind of nearly off the hook?
Stories. I don't. Do you know what? I don't feel bad. Sorry. When it comes to stories, I feel.
Some great storytellers out there.
There are some great storytellers out there, and they're brilliant. Like, but I feel like I was of a different generation where there's obviously. So I did a panel last week with Shane Byrne and Mick Golliver was in the crowd, and I was like, Shane Byrne and Mick Golliver they're in a different era. So like with no social media, there's no cameras, and there was nothing going on. So there's a lot more stories, but like, and whereas I was sorry, there's less stories, but there's a lot of characters. Like, do you know what I mean? But I don't know if there's any coming to mind. Do you know what I mean? But you obviously have I was at the RPI Awards there a couple of weeks ago, and Dave Kilcoyne was there because he's finishing up, and he told a story about pretending to be in a Garda car, and he had the fake lights, and he was going into a college party or something with the lights, and he had the guard, but then the real guards came, and they were shining the light in, and they're like, David Kilcoyne. It's like, what the fuck are you doing here? So, but like, it's like, yeah, I don't have that many stories. Sorry.
Yeah, no, do you know, because your man, the Welsh fella, he's going over to the lines.
Powell.
Yeah. And the buggy. Do you
Oh, I
remember
know.
that? And him
I was
trying-
nearly, sorry, I was asked to go on that tour. I couldn't, but I would have loved to have gone
Yeah,
down.
I'd
to
say
being
there'd be a
part
few
of it.
after that.
Yeah.
If you look at the lines now over the next couple of weeks, like,
Mhm.
what's your prediction?
I think obviously Joe knows every player inside out, so he'll know every Irish player. Well, like and every like Joe has an encyclopedic knowledge of every rugby player in the world, basically. So he
Yeah.
will know the lads inside out. He'll know Faz inside out. He'll know the coaches. So I think he'll have the Australia lads really well prepared. And they're obviously been rejuvenated over the last year or two with him there. I still think the Lions will do it 3-0, but I think it might be a bit closer than they think. Like, you know,
The last time, not the last time actually, one of the Lions tours, the infamous O'Gara punch up. Do you remember your man McRae? Was it?
yeah.
And the Aussies tried to do a number on the Lions in the pre-match games, in the pre-test games, you know.
Yeah.
And you see it quite a lot. They've the Brumbies, they've got the Reds to play, but like you with the squad that they have, kind of
With the squad that they have to be winning them all. Like
they have to.
they
don't
have to. Do you know?
Like,
with Australia, rugby union is like the fourth most popular sport.
Yeah.
Do you mean it has obviously gone downhill after the last couple of years, and obviously it's come back up with Joe, and I think obviously Les Kiss is going in after
Yeah.
Joe. He's brilliant. Obviously I had him with Ireland as well. He's a really good coach and really good guy. So I hope that it kickstarts it again. I suppose, like, obviously being a part of a Lions is brilliant for the lads, and playing, and like you obviously see some of the other ex-Aussie lads talking about playing against the Lions. It was huge in their career. They'll never forget some the games that they played. So hopefully it kind of kickstarts rugby union getting back to
yeah, but
back to
like
the top, like.
it doesn't for some reason. I think Australia, when the Lions go down to South Africa and New Zealand, there's a kind of an uncertainty. Like, you know, like you're going, fuck it, this could end up 2-1, 3-0 to either side. You know, like you just don't know. Whereas with Australia, like, call a spade, they're not up to scratch. Like, they might have emotionally gotten to become a better team over the while, but they're just not up to scratch.
Yeah.
And as good as Joe is, like, I think there's a psychological thing, because when Joe was with New Zealand and Ireland played New Zealand in the World Cup, Joe, they did the business, right? It seems that whenever it comes to the crunch time, that whenever Joe is in the coaching panel opposite Faz, there seems to be kind of a little bit of he's got a good return.
Yeah. Look, Joe's going to have something up his sleeve as well. He's going to have something up his sleeve to do.
Yeah.
That's
They might come out and shock them in the first one, and then after that, then it's like, right,
Yeah.
we settled down.
But like, it adds to it. I can't wait to watch it. You
Yeah.
know, it's going to be brilliant. Like,
Are you doing much panel work in the build up to it?
no. I wouldn't do much. I don't do much panel work now, to be honest. I don't know if I feel that I'm not good at it or whatever. Like, but as I said, we have a box in Aviva, so we do a lot of kind of client hosting and stuff like.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of tied there. I can't really
So
do stuff.
will you get to the Argentina game then?
I think I might be. I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not in official capacity, no.
If you were to give a little bit of advice to, say, a young fella coming through now who's about to, or a young girl who's about to play in a kind of like a professional sport, whether it's rugby or not, like, it only lasts a certain amount of time, right? And it's only going to be there for a few years. But like, what advice would you give them now if they were starting off to be mindful of?
What advice would I give? I suppose one of the best pieces of advice that I got when I was coming up, I can't actually remember who I heard it from or who told me, but it's worked for me. Do you know what I mean? So like, when you're coming up, you obviously have your strengths and your weaknesses, and people say, look at your weaknesses and work on them, try and get them better. But what worked for me was I saw what I was good at and started working on them and gotten them better. Do you know? So like, you obviously have your strengths, and so like, for me, I knew that I was a second row forward. I needed to win lineouts, I needed to win restarts, I needed to hit rucks, and I needed to be able to tackle. That's what I was there for. So I looked at those four things. I was like, okay, I need to get world class at these four things. And obviously I had my weaknesses and I worked on them a little bit, but if you work on your strengths more, to get world class at your strengths, get them even better. That worked for me, you know. So like I got to a stage where I was one of the best line-out callers, so I knew I was going to get picked, because like obviously Joe picked me because I was able to deliver line-out ball. That's what I was there for. If I didn't deliver line-out ball,
Set piece. Yeah.
what's the point in me having me there? What's the point in me having me there if I'm not going to win a line-out ball? Do you know what I mean? So I worked on what I was good at, and to get better at that. So if I'm talking to someone young, like obviously see what you're good at and get better at that. You know, you can always work on your weaknesses a little bit. You know, so
who determined what you were good at, right? Because like each coach will have a different opinion of you as a player. As you said, some coaches love you, some coaches might not like you, right? But like you're trying to please the coach that's picking you, right? In a way.
Yeah.
So like, how do you like? Did you go for feedback? Did you look for feedback, or did you just make a decision to go, right, these are the things that I nearly enjoy? Like you probably enjoyed lineouts, enjoyed kickoffs, probably enjoyed smashing people, right, and hitting rucks. Like,
well, I didn't really smash many people.
You did have the ball.
No, it's like that's about just being openly able to communicate with your coaches.
Yeah,
as you say, every coach is different. Like I remember one of the first things. So Mike Brewer used to be the forwards coach in Leinster. I remember him bringing me and Cian Healy into the video room. I think it was after an A game or something, and I was behind Cian, and my back was bent going into a scrum. It was awful, and Cian, he sat me and Cian down. He was like, "You two are going to be the backbone of the Leinster for the next 15 years. You need to be able to work together, basically." So he got us together, and we were able to work on getting my shoulder connected, and asking Cian, "Where do you want the shoulder? How do you want to do?" So we kind of worked with him over that. So it obviously came to fruition over the next couple of years. Played obviously years of them, you know. So it's been able to listen to what the coaches want and need from you. Same with John O'Gibbs. I worked a fair bit with John O'Gibbs on body height, ruck time, maul time, line out time, whatever I needed to do. So with John, it was just get my body in the correct position and low to the ground and all that sort of stuff. So it's been able to talk to your coach, see what they want and see what they need, and being able to work to that.
Tough, isn't it? Because they're putting you in an uncomfortable position. Like getting low to the ground is tough for 6'10", right? So like, and then like, did you find that like those adjustments were very challenging? Like, did you find it getting frustrating? Because like you're not going to get it right straight away, right?
No.
It just takes time.
It's just something that you have to continually work at. I continually worked at until I retired. You know, it's just one of those things that you need to be able to do. You need to be able to get low. You need to be able to push. You know, scrums, line out, mauls, rucks. You need to be able to get.
One thing I learned when I was coaching. So when I was coaching St. Mary's, I had the forward pack, and we were up against the big TARF pack, big kind of maulers. So the week before we did tons of mauling and tons of line out defence and loads of attacking mauls as well, right? And I thought the lads were brilliant when it came to the game. Like we were destroying their line out, and we were bringing their mauls down, and it was all legal, right? But it was brilliant, and I was like, this is class. So we had UCD the following week, and I was like, okay, we've got them all sorted now. Let's get on to the attack or whatever. And when it came to UCD, then nobody knew how to maul again. We left it go for the week, you know. To your point, you have to keep reiterating it, because I assumed senior lads will be fine. But when you're in that kind of environment, you just need to keep hitting home the same message over and over and over again, don't you?
One of what Joe used to say was, "You are what you do every day." Do you know? You are what you do every day. You need to be able to find what works and keep doing it. You know, you can't really let it take a back seat.
Your greatest coach you ever worked with?
Like for me, Joe was the one who put the confidence in me. You know, so like once he came into Leinster, he's the one who picked me first. And then when he got into the Ireland seat, he's the one who kind of picked me there as well. So I think working with, he kind of knew what to get out of me and how to get it out of me, I suppose. So Joe was just obviously disappointing with how it ended, I suppose.
Yeah. Did you ever speak to him after
it? Saw him once, said hello to him, but like, what other than that, not really. Like,
but it was never dealt with.
Nah. Well, like, what's the deal?
As in, never. There was never. Nah. Yeah, you kind of have this kind of thinking that you haven't worked with him for so long that, you know what, would have been good to have a conversation, but at the end of the day, he's got a job to do as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Greatest player you ever played with?
Greatest player. Probably Paulie.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably learned them. But well, like I'll put Leo in there as well. So Leo and Paul. So with Leinster, so I obviously played with Leo when he came back from Leicester. He came back with a wealth of knowledge. He obviously revolutionised lineouts. So I learned so much from him in Leinster. And then when I got into Ireland, I played the first year or two with Paul. So it was me and him in the second row. So being able to learn off him and was brilliant, because those first 2 years in Ireland, I didn't have to call lineouts because Paulie was there. So I kind of learned how he handled the big pressure situations and stuff in Ireland and stuff like that. So I'd say Paulie and Leo.
What did you learn most from Paul? Because I heard stories that when you guys were playing South Africa, he went to learn Afrikaans.
Because Gert Small tried to bring in and teach us Afrikaans to tell us the different calls. Yeah,
that's unreal. Isn't it?
I don't know if it worked, but we were all just nodding along there, going, "Oh
yeah." I remember because Paul was in Art School Reach with me. He was about 4 or 5 years ahead of me in school, and when he was 16, it was a kind of like a balance of whether you'd play rugby or swim. He was a big swimmer as well in Limerick. But Des Harty, who was our coach, ran the rugby in Art School, convinced him to stay. But I'll never forget it because he was a messer. But I remember coming out as a young fella, like I think it was in third year, and who was in the corridors. But Paul O'Connell give it out to him for messing in class, you know. Needless to say, in a couple of years' time, he'd become one of the youngest second rows ever to play for Ireland. I always ask this question as well when it comes to the kind of the end of the pod, but if your message was on a billboard, right, you were gone in the morning, and with the billboard you've got 3 seconds where you drive by and somebody needs to get your message, that it would be, what would it be? Your message on life, Dev.
Oh God, my message on life. It's around family. It's around connections. It's around spend more time with the people you love. You know, for me, the minute I've obviously got Max and Grace and my wife Mary at home. It's everything I've done. Everything is for them. Everything now is for them. Setting up the future for them. You know, it's about all our family. So we've got my sister Emma, my brother Dara. They've got their kids. We go to see them as the weekend. My mum. It's all about family and connections and enjoying it. You know, it's not sports. Sport is sport, and it's obviously gave me a great life, but my life would be nothing without the people in it. You know,
losing your dad.
Yeah.
How long now?
It was 2016. So it was the 2 days before the league final. So we were playing Connacht on the Saturday, and it was the Thursday night. I got a phone call saying Dad was dead, and then so then it was the Thursday. It was the Saturday. So then lads went and played. Was the Saturday or Sunday? No, they played on the Saturday, and then they all came back on the Sunday, and then they all obviously came to the wake on the Sunday, and he was buried on the Monday. So it was quick. So it's 9 years now. Yeah.
Do you remember?
Absolutely. It's something you'll never forget.
Yeah.
7 a.m. in the morning, brother rang me. But it's brilliant. You know, look back on it now. He never suffered. You know, it's like you kind of see people like having parents who are sick, and you kind of feel bad. So like we never knew it was coming with that. You know,
what happened?
It was a valve in his heart, just failed. Yeah. So it was quick, but it was. It was. It is what it is. You feel kind of bad now with that he doesn't get to see his grandkids or all that sort of stuff. You kind of feel bad that our kids won't know him. You know?
Do you tell stories about him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And your mum, how's she?
She's brilliant. If anyone could write the book about being a widow, it's her. Like, you know.
Yeah.
She's brilliant.
He was obviously a big character in your life.
Huge.
Yeah. Did you see traits of your kids in him?
Hard to tell.
Yeah.
Hard to tell yet.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah. I think it's about continuing to tell the stories.
100%.
Because they'll constantly live on in he'll live on in you and
Yeah.
in what your family have
100%.
experienced.
Yeah.
You recently did hell and back with Fairstone.
Yeah.
Put your body through hell
Yeah.
and back.
Yeah.
From our chat when we walked up into the studio today, you said you were sore.
Still a bit sore, yeah. So it's Monday now. We did it on Saturday.
Yeah. But you did it for a great cause.
Yeah, there's a young fella called Archie Ennis, who has Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and he's it struck a chord with Paul, because I suppose Archie's mum Una put out an Instagram video in January time, asking for help. Basically, Paul has a young fella called Archie as well, so it kind of struck a chord with him, because he kind of it's a young fella who needs not life threatening, but they need €3.2 million to get to America to get treatment for this. So we've tried to do as much as we can. Paul has done everything he can to try and raise as much money as we can. One of Paul's good friends, and I can call him my good friend now, called Chris Connolly. He's after running from Mallinhead to Mizenhead. He's raised over €120,000 for us. We did Hell and Back at the weekend as a company, so we bought one of the whole wave. So we had 300 people wearing Team Archie t-shirts for it, and it's really feel good day, I suppose, and really positive stuff that come out of it. So Archie's parents, Una and Kenneth, did it with us. His dad Kenneth is in the army, so I think he had a unit that did it with him as well. So it was I think called Archie's Army as well. So it was really kind of feel good day, and hopefully we're able to.
How old is Archie?
He's 7, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this muscle.
So his muscles are degenerating, I think, and I think if he doesn't get the treatment in the next kind of little while, I think he'll obviously end up in a wheelchair or worse, I suppose. So it's
As I saw on the donate page, your page is at 158,000 now.
So that's the one that Chris Connolly kind of started for the Mallinhead, the Mizenhead.
Okay.
So that's about 150, 160. But then Una and Kenneth's page is at like 620,000.
Wow.
They've able to do so far. Yeah. So
wow.
I think they're up at around the 8 or 900 now.
Wow. Well, yeah. I'll put info in the show notes, and I presume that Fund Me page is going to stay open for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
How did you know how Paul met Una and them? Was he just threw a message?
He just saw the Instagram.
Really?
He just saw it and he reached out to her. He
wow.
said, "Here, I think he donated like, was it maybe $5,000 straight away or $2,000 straight away?
Wow.
Or I can't remember what it was, but he donated straight away, and he says, "Here, I want to meet you and see what we can do over the next."
Do you know what? It's unbelievable, because like it's the stuff behind the scenes that nobody sees. Like when I met Paul briefly, lovely fella, but I've always been watching him and how he simplified a real complicated thing. But then he seems to be a real kind of, he's never lost his roots.
No, he's down to earth. That's what he is. Like, he's down to earth. Yeah.
And like that's a leader. Like, you know, if somebody can do that behind the scenes and then rally everybody else.
Yeah.
I'll put information of that into the show notes.
Great,
so like, listen, how do people get in touch with you if they wanted to learn more about Fairstone, if they wanted to learn more about your story? Or
they can reach out to me directly on Instagram, or they can go through LinkedIn. But I can give you my email address now. It's devon.toner@fairstone.ie. So you can reach out. We have Paul has an email address that people can ask any financial questions as well. So it's questions@askpaul.ie. So we get DMs and questions in. We get tens and hundreds a week. Do you know what I mean? And they're all answered straight away. So people can get in contact that way, or just get in contact with me directly.
Great.
I'm open.
You are. Well, Dave, I'll tell you one thing. You're an absolute pleasure to have as a guest. You've been a great old pal over the last while, but I wish you all the very, very best. I think I've no doubt your old man will be super, super proud of what you've done and where you've come from, especially from rugby now into financial wellness. But thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it, pal.
Thanks for having me.
This episode of What Makes You Tick is brought to you by Wilson's Auctions, Ireland and the UK's largest independent auction company. I'm delighted to have them on board. They auction everything from designer goods, vehicles, machinery, luxury watches, jewellery, and land and property. This year is also very, very special to Wilson's Auctions as they are celebrating 25 years in Dublin and about to launch their new website, which is wilsonsauctions.com. It's a whole world worth exploring.